we're going to find the radius and interval of convergence for the following power series. So looking at part A to start, I have the sum from n goes from 1 to infinity of n times x plus 1 to the n over n plus 1 factorial. So if you remember, finding the interval and radius of convergence starts with the ratio test. So the ratio test says take the limit as n goes to infinity of the absolute value of a sub n plus 1 over a sub n. And that, for the series to converge, has to be less than 1. Okay. So I'm going to do that for my series, and then I'm going to choose x values that make that limit less than 1. Okay, so I've got the limit as n goes to infinity of the n plus first term. I'm going to replace every n in this expression with an n plus 1. So this becomes n plus 1 times x plus 1 raised to the n plus 1 over, when this n becomes an n plus 1 plus 1 becomes n plus 2 factorial. And then instead of dividing by a sub n, I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of the general term. So I have n plus 1 factorial over n times x plus 1 to the n. Now I'm going to simplify where I can. So x plus 1 to the n plus 1 over x plus 1 to the n. That's all going to cancel except for a single x plus 1 that's going to live in the numerator. Okay, and then n plus 1 over n doesn't cancel, so I'm going to keep that. I have an n plus 1 in the numerator and an n in the denominator. And then my factorials are going to reduce to n plus 2 in the denominator. All right, I can take the x plus 1 in absolute value out of the limit because my limit has to do with n, nothing to do with x at all. So this is going to become the absolute value of x plus 1. Pull that right out of the limit. And then I have the limit as n goes to infinity of n plus 1 in the numerator over n squared plus 2n when I multiply that out. I don't need the absolute value bars anymore because I know my n's are positive. Okay, the limit of n plus 1 over n squared plus 2n is 0 because the degree of the denominator is larger than that of the numerator, so that whole fraction is going to go to 0. So that is 0. So this is just the absolute value of x plus 1 times 0. I need to make sure that I only choose x's that make this less than 1. And because I'm multiplying by 0, 0 is always less than 1. This is always true no matter what x value I choose, which means that my interval of convergence is all real numbers, negative infinity to infinity. And my radius of convergence is infinity.